name is Anna Cook, and I'm a professional learning specialist with Keep Indiana Learning. We want to thank all of you for visiting us and listening on World Read Aloud Day. This was presented to you by Lit World and Scholastic. Please check out the additional information for World Read Aloud Day, as well as some free resources at www.scholastic.com/World Read Aloud Day. Thank you again.
Hello, my name is Andrew Melin. I'm the Executive Director of the Central Indiana Educational Service Center. We're located in Indianapolis on the north side in the pyramids. You can see the pyramids behind me. Our focus is on providing academic and operational support to districts. We have 28 district members and 3 associate members that cover school systems all over metropolitan Indianapolis. I'm a former superintendent of schools. I did that for 12 years in the state of Indiana. Started as a teacher many years ago, was a counselor, dean of students, assistant principal, and principal. So I've been in education for almost 40 years. And the one thing I can tell you for sure that's been so important is the importance of reading. You know, reading is something that is important not only for fun and enjoyment, but in my roles that I've played throughout my life, I've had to do a lot of reading relative to my job and to my work. And it's important that when we're reading that we understand what we're reading so that we can be more effective in the work that we do. So I've obviously read a lot in my life for enjoyment, but I'll be honest, the majority of the reading I've done in my lifetime has been related to my work. So reading is an important skill. I think it's a life skill that's critical for all students to master in order to be successful, regardless of the line of work that you end up in when you graduate from high school. I'm a big believer that we have to find the best fit for every student. Best fit meaning, what is the best fit for a student when they graduate? Is it going to a 4-year college, a 2-year college? Is it going into the workforce directly, the military? These are all options. In apprenticeship, these are all options, but no matter what direction you take in life, it's so important that you have this lifelong skill of reading. I'm going to read just a little bit to you, a book written by Balliett, and it's called Hold Fast. And to give you some background on it, it really is about a family in Chicago that through different circumstances basically becomes homeless, which is obviously something that is a challenge in life that we hope no one has to endure or deal with. But the other thing about this book that I think is really good is that not only is addressing a serious issue that we have in our country of homelessness, but the book really has a strong focus on vocabulary. And vocabulary to me is an extremely important skill. After I get done reading, I'll tell you a quick story about why I think vocabulary is so important. Well, let me get started. Again, the book is Hold Fast by Balliett, and ICE, the 3rd week of January 2011. It was the bitterest, meanest, darkest, coldest winter in anyone's memory, even in one of the forgotten neighborhoods of Chicago. Light and warmth seemed gone for good. Mountains of gray snow and sheets of ice destroyed the geometry of sidewalk and street. Neighbors fell silent, listening beyond the clang, scape, chunk of their own shovels for the snowplows that never arrived. The wind blew for so many weeks that people forgot what it felt like to walk in a straight, easy line. Life hunched over. Death whispered and whistled from around each corner. Those with homes hated to leave them, and those without wondered why they'd ever been born. On this particular January afternoon, gusts battered the city, and a temperature of 0 nipped at flesh and stone alike. Suddenly, a squeal of brakes, a shout, and a thud, wheels spinning through the dusk, a blue bicycle crushed beneath a truck, a shopping bag spewing green peas, tomatoes, and oranges across snow. At 1:11, a man was having lunch when told to notice the time. At 2:22, he was placing books on shelves and rolling a cart through math, straight channels of words. He glanced at his watch, nodded, and smiled. By 3:33, he was shrugging into his jacket, noted the line of threes, nodded again. Pulling a black sock hat over his ears, he paused inside the lobby to write for several minutes in a small notebook. "What's the rhythm, Langston?" he murmured to himself as he left the building. "What's the rhythm?" At 4:44, the police received a 911 call from a phone booth in the South Side neighborhood of Woodlawn. A muffled voice reported an accident involving a bicyclist in an unmarked delivery truck. When a squad car arrived at the scene minutes later, the street was deserted. There were no witnesses to be found. No one could remember seeing the young man that afternoon, but there were his bike, his groceries, and his pocket notebook, which was discovered beneath a nearby car. He had vanished 3 blocks from home. The truck was also gone, leaving only the slash print of tires and snow. Packed ice allowed no footprints, nor was there even blood. Gone. 4 miserable letters. What does the word mean? Does 444, a measurement math of 4, but shown by 3, mean a family of 4 is still 4, even when 1 is gone? Can a soul hide in a 3 that belongs to 4? Click. Click is a noun, a brief, sharp sound, sometimes traced to a mechanical device, as with a camera or computer, a part of some African languages. Verb. Click can be a verb, to select, to become a success, to fit seamlessly together. You'll hear click through this story as a transition that's used by the author. Click. Taken with a cell phone camera, this family portrait, Dashel, his wife Summer, and their kids, Early and Jubilation, a daughter and a son. They live in Woodlawn, once feared as the home of Chicago's most powerful gang, but now a quieter place. The family sits in 2 tidy rows on the chip steps of a brick building, knees to backs, parents behind kids, hands sealing the foursome, boy by girl, behind girl by boy, symmetrical and smiling. The father is pale, the mother dark, the kids cocoa and cinnamon. Eyes in this family are green, amber, and smoky topaz. Click. Dashel takes most of the pictures, so he's rarely inside them. Here is Summer, her profile echoed by her son Juby's as she reads Ann Cameron's The Stories Julian Tells aloud to him. Here's Early on the floor with a pillow under her head, reading Roald Dahl's The BFG. Chestnut hair spreads in ringlets across blue cotton. Here's a pile of books, spines turned toward the camera. Click. Dashel offered words to his kids from the day they were born. A man who loved language almost as much as color or taste or air, he explained to his daughter Early that words are everywhere and for everyone. They're for choosing, admiring, keeping, giving. They are treasures of inestimable value. Early heard him say that many times. Even when she didn't know what inestimable meant, she understood from the careful way he said it. Dashel played a game with Early and Juby. It began like this. He would throw his arms out and yell, "Words are free and plentiful." From the time they learned to talk, one or the other would shout back, "Free, plentiful." Each time Dashel sat down to read aloud, book in hand, he'd look sideways and whisper, "Words are." One or both of the kids would whisper back the next 3 words, finishing a sentence that then opened the story. 3 words with EE and if inside them. Early thought, sounds that could fly, syllables that became wings with feathers and bones, weightless and yet sharp. Click. Here is a home in their neighborhood, one that invites dreams. 2 stories are tucked beneath a steep roof. The walls are butter yellow. White curtains frame the windows and a cat peers out. The front door is Remember Me Green, the echo of a pine tree. The steps leading up to it are lighter, the shade of spring leaves. On the porch, rocking chairs and an old swing wait in all weathers. Red roses bloom in the yard each summer, and there's often a snowman with a carrot nose in winter. The Pearl family loves to stop and look at this house. One day, Daschle says, his happy boom encircling, we'll have a home like this. A chance to stretch, to read in at least a dozen corners, and to run up and down stairs. A chance to cook and eat in one place and sleep in another, Summer adds, and to have a few secrets. Like what, Juby squeaks, looking up at his mom. I don't want no secrets. Any, his mom says gently, her eyes dreamy. Secrets can be lovely. They give you a chance to surprise people you love. Juby brightened. Like a present? Exactly. Early was busy counting something on the front of the house. I'd look out of each window pane and wait. There's 20 of them. Then I'd stick a word of the day on our front fence, just for people to take away in their heads. Daschle grinned. You, my girl, Early, I'm on my way to getting us our own cozy home, and it'll feel so good. I can taste it. A home for my son and our babies. He put his arm around Summer and kissed her neck. Babies, said Juby, who is 4. No babies that I can see. You guys are embarrassing, said Early, who was 11. The 4 were silent for a moment, facing the house. If we had to eat beans and greens for a year, no, 2 years to get this house, would you do it, Juby? His sister asked. Juby nodded and reached for his father's hand. Beans and greens, he repeated. The cat in the window pressed its paw suddenly against the glass as if to welcome them all inside. Click. The Pearl family rents the biggest apartment they can afford. It is a one-room. Walk up 2 flights of stairs, turn right, follow a long hall with a bare bulb overhead, and you'll be at their front door, which is a dull metallic gray. A neat sign next to the door in kid script says, "Welcome to our home." Beneath the letters is a bendy bathtub shape with 4 circles inside, an oyster shell sheltering 4 pearls. Once in the door, here's a small, cheerful world. The kitchen in one corner, across from a tiny bathroom just big enough for one, a double bed mattress on the floor, behind a screen covered with a sunburst quilt, 2 neatly rolled up sleeping bags, and a pile of foam mats beneath the window with a view. Peek out, lots of sky, and an empty lot nearby, haven to tall weeds and small creatures like mice and rats. The other window is over the kitchen sink and faces a crumbling wall, one that sprouts emerald leaves and the tiniest of purple flowers. Dozens of pillows in bright colors line the edges of the room. The floor is speckled linoleum, cream with lots of red, yellow, and blue. Lamps sit on small tables made from piles of old encyclopedias, tied into neat packages with yellow police tape. A coffee table near the kitchen has low seats around it, each made from a plastic milk crate with a lawn chair cushion tied to the top. Only the bedding in the house was bought. All else was scavenged or invented. Everything has its place. You could eat off this floor, Daschle says with pride. Summer adds, and we almost do, with a grin. Once after dinner, Juby slithered from under the table where he was playing trucks in a tunnel with a piece of macaroni stuck to his elbow. Elbow macaroni, his father boomed. Daschle reached into his pocket and click, the elbow became a story. Click. Daschle left on his bike each workday morning in all weathers and seasons to reach the station and ride the train that took him to Harold Washington, the huge public library in downtown Chicago. He worked on the 6th floor in history and social sciences, a tricky department that mixes fact, story, and legend. Daschle's job as library page, one he'd had for several years now, was to sort, shelve, deliver, and process books, and sometimes to answer the phone or update computer entries. The librarian soon realized that he was an amazing reader, a gifted and hungry thinker. They knew he wanted to earn a library science degree one day. Daschle learned quickly that working in a library meant knowing how to find answers to almost any kind of question. It also meant understanding changes in what people want to read, as well as finding a balance between the familiar and the new. A pleasure to teach, Daschle would hear or see something once and click, he had it. He was obviously a library page who was going places. Click on a what? Early had asked the first time she heard that crazy word, onomatopoeia. If you discovered that a word sounded like what it meant, Dash explained, then you could add it to the family onomatopoeia list. Sometimes Early added a little drawing as well, an invented symbol that looked like it fit the word. She loved the C's, crash, click, catch, the B's, blurt, babble, the I's, ice, itch, the S's, slip, slither, sizzle. Early, like Dashiell, recorded stuff that made her curious, and the Pearls always had a notebook or two available. They kept a family quote book for collecting wise or delicious things that other people had written, and a word book where any of them could note down a word they liked and include at least part of the dictionary definition. If Juby chose the word, someone recorded it for him. Early learned from her dad that a dictionary is a powerful and underestimated kind of book. First of all, it has the shortest stories in the world, and thousands of them, stories with sounds, changing shapes, history, and mystery. Open anywhere and you'll find layers of meanings, choices. And when you put a word in your word book, you can pick what you want from a definition, like picking flowers from a garden. You don't have to take everything, and that is fine. Gather them as you meet them, then you'll become a part of their story and vice versa. Dashiell said, Early wasn't sure how that worked, but she got the message. Words are alive. Dashiell explained that words can have generations of scrambled up history. Some are hundreds or even thousands of years old. They come from Old English, Middle English, Latin, Greek, Sanskrit, and many other languages. Those were just a few of the roots that could be part of a word, like a root on a vegetable. Sometimes experts couldn't find a root, and then the dictionary said origin unknown. When the Pearls added a word to their family word book, Dashiell called that adopting the word, welcoming it to a new home. Any word you adopt feels loved, he told his daughter, scratching his right ear, something he did when an idea was making him happy. Language reacts, you know. When he said this, Early pictured a word stretching and wiggling, either tall or curly letters, or perhaps yawning with an O or an open mouth C or U. Her dad was still talking, and when a word isn't used for a long time, it dies and just about disappears. Sometimes that's okay, it's had its day. And once in a while, a new word is born. One startling Saturday, when she just entered the words adopt and adapt in the word book, Dashiell told Early that he had been adopted as a baby, like a word. Early felt the world jiggle slump for a moment and blurted, "What happened to your parents? Did they die?" Dashiell looked oddly blank. "I'm still wondering," he said softly. "Maybe that's why I like the family of words, the crowd of meanings, the murky origins. I've always thought about my folks, but never known who they were. Always imagined a face or a voice, but never had a definition, no story. The Pearls, who adopted me, died in a train crash when I was 3. I only remember a few details from my life with them, a crib with tall sides, an orange cat. I lived in many foster homes. Some had love and some had none. You're a mystery and a part of the hugest family of all, the dictionary family," Early hurried to say, wanting to make her father feel better. "Yes, I am," he grinned at his daughter. "I like that. So now you know why you 3 are so important to me. You're critical to my existence. And that's why we're going to own the coziest home anyone has ever had, if it's the last thing I do." Early reached for the word book to add critical. She liked its crunchy, delicate sounds, the crisp C's and T together with the light I's and A. It sounded like a crown, the fancy kind made for a king. She pictured lots of people trying it on. Like Cinderella's slipper, until click, it landed with a perfect fit on her father's head. Click. Early was born when her parents were still in high school. Her name came from the promising surprise, as her parents explained it, of her arrival. So, Dashiell liked to say, Early Pearl equals ready, ahead, and beautiful. What more could a person want? He added that he and Summer were the happiest people in the world when Early appeared. Click. What? Shouted Juby when he overheard this. What about special me? Dashiell grinned and said, now, why do you think we called you jubilation? Out came Webster's dictionary. Dashiell then looked up the word and read the meanings aloud. It grew from a Latin verb jubilare, which meant it was over 1,000 years old and was used when people celebrated without worries. They were loud with joy. Juby puffed up with pride. Loud with joy, he shouted. People's names often affect who they become, Dashiell explained. Take your mother's name, he said. The word summer makes thoughts of happiness and perfection pop up in most folks' minds. You know, fireflies, bugs humming in the trees, barbecue with friends on a day by the lake, lots of sun and gentle blue sky. Just like this gorgeous, promising woman here. Summer swatted in awe go on at her husband, but followed it up with a grin. So, how about Dashiell? Early had asked. Well, that's got many facets. It's kind of flashy, Dashiell said with a wink. The name comes from a French root meaning a messenger. And I do work as one who delivers. How's that for a name fit? But the word dash, now, are you ready? The origin is dashing, Middle English, verb to break by striking, knocking, or hurling. He closed the dictionary on his finger and looked at the kids. Should I hurl it? He asked. No, they shrieked with delight, and Summer said dash, her voice with a gentle warning. No worries, just adding some dash to the moment, he grinned, reopening the volume. Okay, now here are some of the noun meanings: a violent burst or splash, the stroke of a pen, a punctuation mark that breaks the flow of a sentence, a small but crucial addition like a dash of salt, a sudden rush, a short, fast race, part of a famous code, the Morse code, that is all dots and dashes. Whew, what a headful that word is. Wish me luck. And Dashiell boomed his got it all laugh. This was a family of important words and their important histories. Words and life, the homes were all rolling together in the shell that held four. Click. When they became parents, Dashiell and Summer decided that the usual parent names didn't fit them. After trying a few things out, they settled on Dash and Some as they gradually became Dash plus Some plus Early plus Juby. The phrase Dash, Summer, Early, Juby clicked together with an irresistible ta-ta-boom, ta-boom, ta-rhythm. Like a cluster of refrigerator magnets, Summer said, hard to pull apart. Inside every dictionary and all the special family books, Dashiell wrote Dash, Some, Early, Juby in his neat blocky letters. There were many Pearl families in the world, but only one Dash, Summer, Early, Juby. Everyone knew the plan. Dashiell would apply for a scholarship, borrow money from the bank, and get his degree. That would be when Juby started kindergarten and Summer worked during the school day, hopefully in the neighborhood. Later on, when Dash was a full-time librarian, she'd go to a college or university too, maybe to get a guidance counselor's degree. She liked the idea of helping teens who weren't getting much advice or support. And one day, the Pearls would have their home, and everyone would head home after a long day to a place that would be theirs forever. Early loved the slow way Dash said head home, as if those two words felt good to say. The most treasured thing they owned, their family plan, was invisible, but everyone felt as if it were as solid as a building, as dependable as a road. It was there and theirs, and that was all there was to it. It was Dash, Summer, Early, Juby. Well, that's the first part of the book, Hold Fast by Balliett. And again, think about the fact that this is a family in Chicago that does not have a lot of money, and they have big dreams, and they're hoping that one day they can own the kind of home that would be very special for them. But I've noticed the real important value in the book, the part that I've read so far, on the importance of words and vocabulary. And they talk about the dictionary. Now, I'm not sure how many of you even have possession of a hard cover dictionary. But when I was growing up, I started to work in radio, and I started to be a sportscaster. And I went to Michigan State University, and I was doing a lot of play-by-play of sporting events. And my father, who lived in Detroit, my hometown, I'd speak to him every Sunday night on the phone, not a cell phone, but an old phone. And my dad would tell me, he listened to everything I did on the radio. He would tell me, son, you have a lot of nickel and dime words that you use when you're broadcasting. You need to expand your vocabulary. You need more quarter level words. So I thought, well, how am I going to do that? So throughout my college days, whenever I'd hear a word that I didn't know what it was or what it meant, I'd go to my dictionary. Didn't have a cell phone to ask, didn't have Google to access. I actually had to go to my hardcover dictionary, and I'd open it up and I have to find that word. And I'd figure out what that word meant and how to use it in a sentence. And then some of my college friends, they got a little freaked out by me because as soon as possible, I would use that word in a sentence. And the reason I did that is I wanted to truly embed that word in my vocabulary. So again, as part of my job and my work early in my life, trying to be a really good broadcaster, it was critical that I expand my vocabulary. And so that was my way of working to do it. It was very intentional. And it really helped lead me to where I am today. That radio experience, that ability to read, to be able to expand my vocabulary, led me not only through my radio career, but into education, eventually becoming a teacher, a counselor, a dean of students, assistant principal, assistant superintendent, chief of innovation for the Department of Education in Indiana, and then now the executive director of the Central Indiana Educational Service Center. I hope this time for us together has been valuable. I've really appreciated the opportunity to read to you today. And remember, reading is really important, not just for enjoyment, but also to help you be successful in whatever occupation you choose as you move down the road. Thank you.